This is Fam Electric Ghost, and this episode is Peg, Trance It Up, PLUR, Daisy, Pure Daisy. Now, this song is a song we wrote probably like 2 years ago. And Josephine, we were getting into like trance, and Josephine Electric, my alter ego, who's the lead singer of Fam Electric Ghost, who we create using a Roland vocoder. And at the time, we were using the JDXI soprano vocoder, or the vocoder in soprano mode to create her voice. And the whole story there, which we've talked about before, is I got a JDXI so I could introduce vocals into my music. And for years, I had done music, expansive sound experiments on SoundCloud for years, from like 2008 onward, where I just had these expansive sound experience paintings with no vocals. But then when I purchased the JDXI, I bought it with the specific reason of using the microphone to see if we could introduce vocals. I didn't like my male voice, so I played with different settings. I got the kind of Darth Vader Formant voice. It was a little too crazy, and the vocoder was too robotic, sounded like Transformers. So then I was playing with the pitch, and I found the soprano mode on the JDXI. It's actually a soprano mode. And when I found that mode and I had my headphones on, I heard Josephine's voice coming out. And I said, that was a revelation. I could take that female voice, which sounded very sultry because I had this kind of bass voice. And then when I put it through the JDXI, it created this female that was pretty sexy. She kind of represents sex, and that's where the whole idea of her becoming like a PLUR Daisy, that she was, she's this alluring dominatrix, sex goddess is how we played her from the start. We had all kinds of songs where she got into all kinds of situations. And the thing is, Josephine's a ghost. But Josephine's into rave culture. She's the lead singer of an electronic synthwave band, Fam Electric Ghost. And, she's all wrapped up in leather and dealing with, political electronic music like Something Wicked, but she also gets into funk and EDM and trance grooves. And this song is a pure trance groove. It's probably the biggest trance groove we ever did. We kind of put it on the shelf. We never really promoted it. And now that we're with Bentley Records, we've just sent it to be engineered, and we really are digging it. We remastered it, and we're it's going to get re-engineered by Bentley, and we're excited about it. We put a video up for it on YouTube and Instagram. We had some pretty good reception on it, and it's just weird. Sometimes we go back and we find something. In the last year, we found a couple of songs that were keepers that are going to end up being on Dark Ghost Violets, something like, When Miss Electric Comes to Town, or She's Got the Naz, or Dark in the Night in Which We Bleed. These are older songs. Even The Interconnected Biology of All Living Things, that's an older Fam Electric Ghost song. It's like when we did the album with All Control K, To Infinitum, Rock Noodle Do, or Two, is a very old Fam Electric Ghost song. It's one of the original sound paintings that we just did on a Juno. And we used the Juno GI's multi-track recording capability to build that song. That song was totally built inside of a Juno GI. And then it was brought down to a Zoom R16 digital recorder, but it was primarily recorded within the capabilities of the Juno. We originally bought the GI because we didn't have a recording solution. And we used to just use the Roland GI to record albums. And we recorded Something Wicked, Indigo Menace, and Synesthesia totally using the Juno. And then we brought it into the R16, and then we mastered it on Landau. But that is what we used to do. And we used to go through TuneCore, but now we're actually going through Bentley Records, and we've put out like an EP through Mojo Heads. We still have some Personal Demons to portray. which is doing very well. It's probably the strongest single we've had in a while. Though we have some singles that we put out on Landar and SoundCloud that have hit, thousands of hits previously. But that song from Mojo Heads, you still have some personal demons to portray, is actually performing very well this year. Though I would say that on SoundCloud, it's interesting that the song that has performed the best. Yeah, so this is continuing. Sometimes we have a segment that kind of stops abruptly. So we were talking about one of the songs that performed pretty good this year. And on SoundCloud, one of the best performing songs we've had is interesting is Analog is New Punk, which has had over 849 plays. It's interesting, when we put it out on Bentley, we haven't hit that many plays, at least on Spotify. But when we initially put it out there on SoundCloud, it's almost got 1,000 plays, which is really interesting. You never know. When people have something, it's weird. The algorithms on the different platforms, you don't know what causes people to look at things or not. But on SoundCloud, that is a very high-performance song. It's one of our highest-performing songs in the last couple of years. And then we put it out, and it's not performing as well as it did on SoundCloud, but you never know why. But then Pure Daisy is a real sonic experience. The whole idea of expansive sound is that we do hardware synth recording, and we do it without a DAW. And we use kind of an old school technique of originally when we started recording back in the day, we had a Roland D5 and a Korg sequencer. And then we used a Tascam 4-track recorder to take the results of the sequenced sounds. And what was cool is the D5 was like a dumbed down version of the D50. And it had linear synthesis. It had this really nice sound. It wasn't as powerful as a D50, but it had some of those D50 sounds, and it had a really multi-trimble capability that when you linked it to a sequencer, you could get it to do a lot of songs. So back in the day, and this is back when I was going to school at Bowdoin College, in 1987, I had this D5. And then I got a Tascam 4-tracker. And then I got this Korg sequencer that used these little mini discs. And I used to use that sequencer to build songs. And I built soundscapes. I used to perform at the Bowdoin College pub, and I would do songs, and people said I sounded kind of like Tangerine Dream. And, I was kind of shooting for that. That's what I was always trying to do. And I've always been inspired by, a lot of different things. I was talking to somebody I'm going to interview pretty soon this next week. And, my reference points are all over the map, from Bowie to Hush Kadu to Mingus to Sun Ra to Prince to Hendrix to Duane Allman, Johnny Cash. So that shows you I'm kind of all over the map. I mean, I like Ben Folds, I like Billy Joel, I like Elton John, but then I like Joy Division, I like Flock of Seagulls, I like The Replacements, I like the Velvet Underground. I love Alex Chilton and Big Star. So I'm kind of all over the place. And when it comes to like synthesizer music, I like the Peter Gabriel, Genesis, and Yes. Probably like Fragile and Close to the Edge. I think Close to the Edge is probably my favorite progressive album of all time. And then maybe The Lamb Lies Down on Broadway from Genesis. I love that album. I'm actually probably a bigger fan of the Peter Gabriel Genesis than Emerson, Lake and Palmer, is because some of those ideas that Peter Gabriel had seem more coherent. And I mean, Emerson, Lake and Palmer is a great band. But I just like the way that Tony Banks and Peter Gabriel and the whole crew actually really fleshed together, and they did this really interesting progressive rock that wasn't super popular, but it's actually very interesting. If you listen to like Watcher in the Skies, or you listen to Selling England by the Pound, or there's a lot of interesting songs. And that's where I kind of come to, where in the modern world, everybody's going into DAWs and trying to create EDM with the drop, and they've kind of lost the idea of progressive electronic music. When Moog actually built these modes, we have a Mother 32 and we have a DFAM, and we have a Archery MIDI Brew 2S, and we have a System 1M. So we've got analog behavioral modeling plus true analog synths and digital synths like the Juno and the JDXI. But the whole idea of using analog synths is they kind of give you something different every time you approach them. And you can take that variability or unexpected sonic capability and create new material. We tend to write when we're back at home base. We could probably write 5 songs a day. Sometimes we write 5 songs, at least 5 songs a week. Now that we're doing this day gig where we're in Maine, away from our New Hampshire location, last week we only produced 2 songs. But if you look at a lot of bands, they have a hard time producing 1 song in like 2 months. So not to come down on people, but I just am a very musical person and I write a lot. And if you check the quality of the stuff I write, it's pretty good for the amount of stuff I write. And it's varied. I don't always repeat myself. Sometimes I go back, like this song goes back like 2 years, and I go back and look at something and then kind of get fresh eyes on it. Or, but a lot of times I'll do a lot of heavy experimentation because of my analog synths. I can do tape loops. I can do sampling. I've got a Teenage Engineering OPZ, which is amazing. We did 1 song with the sampler. We haven't really heavily tried it. We've got to look at the Cuckoo video. We saw a video, on how to use it, but we haven't really dived into it. You do have to seem like you really have to use the iPhone with it, and I haven't had the time to really sit down and fully digest how to actually do the workflow on it. But I got some cool ideas, and I love this. One of the other things I want to do with the OPZ is get the CV module so I can actually have it drive my mode. Because the sequencer on the OPZ is incredible. I love it. It's a really intuitive sequencer. It's very easy to build songs. We built 2 albums on that OPZ. The Flower Blooms at Midnight in the Tomb and Wretched Symphony No. 8. And we were able to build those songs, and a bunch of Violet songs actually have the base of them are OPZ tracks. The OPZ is very easy to build drums and kicks and bass lines, and it's really cool how it actually records everything into these separate tracks. The only thing I would really like it to do is be able to produce a WAV file, and produce tracked files that you can actually output, which I'm not sure if the USB version of it that has USB MIDI, if they've created the capability to do that. I would like to see them update it. And I would actually like to see them take the OPZ and make a bigger version. I know the whole appeal of it is that it's small, but its workflow is very interesting. And if it could actually generate files like a Zoom R24 or R16 that were separated, it would be a very powerful machine. I would probably prefer it in some ways to an Akai, just because I like hardware synths and I like the idea of having a keyboard on something and actually really being able to do it. So an OPZ can have MIDI keyboards and you can do a lot of cool things with it. But that's been a big thing because I've been looking at like the Akai Force, and the fact that I'm on the road, it is a good solution if you're sitting in a hotel room and you want to put things together. However, I really love my analog synths, and I would probably prefer to do like what I might do is get like a Micro Freak, get an Arturia little keyboard solution, a key step, and then maybe go get a collection of the Roland Boutique modules, like the fully analog SEO2, the fully digital DO5, which is a replication of the D50. So we're really looking at the Boutique with our first module. We really look at which is like a DO5, because the D505 has got really good reviews. It's actually better than the D50 in some ways, that it has every single patch it was ever built for it, and it's actually very small, and it replicates the sound almost perfectly. So we'd probably get the bigger key step, not the small one, but the bigger one, the one that costs like $200. Get that key step, and then have a DO5. Probably have our task our Zoom R24, and then maybe get the boutique SDO2 for analog sound, and then get the actual drum machine module for the drums. And we look at the SH101A, and there's a good reason to get that too. But if we're going to be recording, we'd want to, the LPZ gives us a good drum machine. We could use that, but we would like to try. And what we heard is the boutique 808 actually could do a USB MIDI, where the one from Behringer doesn't have a USB MIDI. And sometimes this is where the argument of, oh, we want the full size one. Well, you know what? The boutique version of the 808, if you're working in a hotel or in a small apartment, the Roland module suddenly makes sense to be in small. Because all you gotta do is go get yourself a key step, even the small one, and then use that as your main controller. And our Zoom R24 is what we use instead of a DAW. And then we'll have the OPZ, and we have a little Yamaha mixer, but we probably bring our Yamaha mixer with a little converter to bring in the smaller lines. We do appreciate the MX1. We probably will bring the MX1 because all those things have USB audio. So we'll bring our MX1 mixer because we always like to use it as well. So we've got this whole idea of what we're going to do on the road. And we'll talk to you later. Just check out this song and check out The Ghost. We'll be putting this out probably on Bentley shortly. We are working on Dark Ghost Violets as our release of a full album for Bentley. We've been putting out singles since June, and we're going to continue to put the singles out, but we're working toward the full album for Bentley, which will be our Dark Ghost album. We decided we're actually going to call it Dark Ghost Violets. So we'll talk to you later.
Girl like me, don't you know you want it.